Hi guys, I'm Ben from Adaptalux and welcome back to another macro photography tutorial where today we're using oil, paint, milk, water, washing up liquid, all sorts of different little fluids to create these crazy abstract videos and images. It's deceptively simple, it's really fun, so stick around and I'll show you exactly how it's done. I think this might be one of the messiest subjects I've ever done, and 2 weeks ago we did glitter, which is still all over the place by the way, but this I think is going to exceed that just for the amount of liquids that are around, and there's lots of different parts to mix in. So I'm going to walk you through everything that we've got on the table here. Don't let the mess put you off. I have been at this for a little while, so things have become a little bit disorganized, but let me walk you through the very basics that you need to collect before you even start shooting. Let's first start off with the liquids. We're going to need a few. So we've got some milk. My semi-skimmed milk is doing just fine. Apparently higher fat content milk will do a better job of this, but I'm not quite sure there. The semi-skimmed milk that I drink is doing just fine. We do need some oil, and you're going to need a lot of both of these, so make sure you've got a big carton of milk and you've got a big bottle of oil. Mine is sunflower oil, but any cooking oil will do. Something that you need a little bit less of is your washing up liquid. You will need this. This is going to activate our solution and make all of those bubbles do their crazy things. And finally, we need some color. We need some paint. So these are acrylic paints that I've just mixed together with some water into various little pots, all ready to go for when I drop them into our mixture. Next up, you're going to need some pots to put your mixtures into. So over here, we've got some washing up liquid mixed with water. In the middle, this bowl I'm using just for the scraps. Every time you take a shot, you're going to need to empty this and start again. So you need somewhere to just quickly empty your bowl, get rid of all of that dirty water, milk and oil, and then you can empty that straight into the sink. This is going to be our shooting pot, so a nice small shallow little pot that we can put some milk and some oil into and then drop our color into as well. You're probably going to need some extra surfaces or plates or something to put all of your messy bits and bobs. You're going to need some pipette droppers to drop your color into your solution. So those are pretty handy, but you can do this using a spoon or maybe just dripping it in off your finger or something like that. But the pipettes are nice and cheap, and you can get a lot of precise drops into your solution using those. Now I am running out of desk space with all of these elements put together, but the very last thing we need to talk about is the photography equipment that you're going to need. So you do need a tripod. You need to attach your camera somehow so that it stays still and faces down to where your bowl is going to be. Macro lens will really help you get nice and close to all of those little bubbles, but it's not necessary. It depends on how close you want to get, what kind of resolution you're getting, so that you can maybe crop in afterwards, and perhaps you can use some clip-on adapters or something like that if you want to use a mobile phone instead. It's really down to you. It's just trying to get that framing as close to your milk and oil solution as possible while still being able to be in focus. For me, I'm using my Sony a7 III with a 100mm Tachyna lens on the front. That's an f2.8 Tachyna lens, and that gives me a lot of magnification, so I can get nice and close. It's also 4K, so I can then crop in using my resolution as well, should I wish to. The last thing that we need is some lighting. It's actually really hard to get lighting into these little bowls. You're going to have lots of shadows from the rims, and you do need a lot of power so that you can up your aperture and get a nice depth of field on the surface of your milk. So I'm using the Adaptalux Studio for that. I've got the brand new Control Pod 3 mounted on the top of the little mini tripod here, and I'm going to clip in a couple of powerful super white lighting arm S's. So I'm going to point these down right at my bowl, and I'm going to add a couple of diffusers as well. Now I have been experimenting with a color filter or two, so I've got a few different options for adding colored light into my solution as well as the colored paint. I'll leave you to decide whether that's something for you, but for now you definitely need some additional light. I've brought both of those lighting arms in from the sides of my milk. You need to watch for reflections of your light source bouncing off the surface of your solution, which will be a little bit reflective, and you'll be able to see that light source as a big, bright, blown out spot on your images. So try and make sure to bring your light in from the sides if possible, and reduce those reflections as much as you can. Now I'm going to be adjusting my my lighting manually using the brand new Control Pod 3 and this lovely little dial on the top. It's really simple for changing the brightness of your lights to balance them out and just give you a little bit of extra power and control over your lighting. Now it's time to add a little bit of milk, a little bit of oil and a little bit of paint into our solution. So first things first, you need a little bit of milk in the bottom of your bowl. You don't need much, just enough to cover the bottom of the bowl. And then we're going to add some oil. You do need a little bit more oil than you might think, because we need to create a nice barrier between the surface and the milk. So I think that'll probably do, and you can already see some bubbles starting to form in there, and we've got a nice film of oil over the top of our milk now. So next up we need to add some paint. I'm going to use my little pipette dropper here to grab a little bit of this pink paint to start off with, and I'm just going to drop it around on top of the oil, and you'll be able to see it start to slowly sink down into the milk. It will sit between that layer of the milk and the oil, and hopefully not pop until we tell it to. So you can actually go ahead and add a whole bunch of different colors in here if you want to, as many as you like, just dabbing them around the place until you're happy. Then it goes under your camera, so I'm just going to shift this under my lighting and under my camera, ready to go. So the very last thing that you need to do is just add a little drop of washing up liquid into the middle of your solution, and you can see there that bubbles are starting to pop, things are moving around, and that's the washing up liquid reacting with and breaking down the barriers of the oil, that surface tension that's holding all of the bubbles together. And depending on the thickness of your oil, the consistency of all of your colors, different things are going to happen at different speeds. So do be ready the moment that washing up liquid touches the surface of your solution. Crazy things are going to start happening. And believe it or not, that is all there is to it. It's just a case of repeating that process, so putting in the milk and then the oil, then some paint, and then activating the solution using the pipette dropper with just 1 or 2 drops of washing up liquid. It's all down to your imagination from there, putting different colors in different combinations. You can use different types of paints, different amounts of the different parts of the solution, so different amount of milk, different amounts of oil, playing around with all of those balances between those different liquids is going to change your outcomes. And your outcome changes every single time anyway, because you can't predict how all of this is going to react. So resetting your solution just by putting it into that waste pot that we talked about earlier on, starting again with some fresh milk and some fresh oil, you're going to get a different video or image every single time. Now you can actually be taking stills all the way as you go, or you can be shooting in video. I've actually been shooting in super slow-mo so that I can slow down all of these reactions if they go too fast, or keep them at normal speed if I want to as well. Once you've done this a few times, you'll have a nice variety of different shots or different video clips that you can put together to some music or create some really interesting images with. I feel the need to mention again that this is super messy, and I think I've done it in a particularly messy way as well, as is my general style. But having those pipette droppers, plates and extra bowls around to catch any spillages, and of course some paper towels on standby to mop everything up, you should be able to get this done without causing paint to go all over your carpet. And it is a really fun thing to do on a weekend indoors, perhaps on your coffee table, you can just keep adding to it and changing your solution and finding new crazy colors and patterns created every single time. I'd like to know from you guys what you think to this shoot. Have you tried this before? Would you like something a little bit more simple, in which case you can maybe just try oil on water, which is a shot that we've done before. I'll link that up in the top right hand corner and down in the description if you want something with a few less moving parts. For now, that is all that I've got time for. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.